Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Today, inshallah wa ta'ala, we will discuss Masjid al-Bayah. Masjid al-Bayah is also known as Masjid al-Aqaba, is situated near Mina, and it's the site where the two crucial pledges of allegiance were made by the Ansar of Medina, which led to the migration of the Prophet ﷺ to the city. So this masjid has a greater significance in the history of Islam. Their first pledge took place in the year 621 CE. The group included leaders of the Awas and Khazraj tribes of Medina and were 12 in number. The second such pledge, called the Second Aqaba pledge, took place the following year, the 13th year after the Prophet ﷺ proclaimed his prophethood. The Prophet ﷺ would make contact with various Arab tribes that came into Mecca for their festivals, trade fairs, or pilgrimages and preach the truth of Islam to them. He would take the opportunity to call them towards worshipping only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to believing in his prophethood. But his uncles always followed him, dissuading people from listening to his message. To avoid them, he would come out in the darkness of night to contact the caravans staying at a distance of several miles from the Kaaba. One night, the Prophet ﷺ heard some people talking about Aqaba. He came close and saw that they were 6 in number who had come from Yathrib, later to be known as Medina, to perform pilgrimage at the Kaaba. The Prophet ﷺ preached Islam to them and recited some verses of the Quran. They listened and embraced Islam on the spot. Allahu Akbar. They were neighbors of the Jews in Yathrib and had heard them mention of the coming a great prophet in the near future and about his dominance over all others. The 6 new Muslims promised that they would invite their people to Islam upon returning to Yathrib, and they would meet their Prophet ﷺ again during the next pilgrimage. The next year, 5 of the 6 returned to meet the Prophet ﷺ again at Aqaba, and they brought them with another 7 converts. These 12 persons pledged their allegiance to Islam at the hands of Prophet ﷺ, and this became known as the first pledge of Aqaba. The Prophet ﷺ deputed Musa bin Umar to go with them to teach Islam and preach to others. He remained busy all the time in teaching the Quran and other Islamic practices to the people. He stayed with Asad bin Zara radiallahu and was known as the Murki, the teacher. During this period, many people from Yathrib embraced Islam. The following year, Musa bin Umar radiallahu set out from Yathrib for Mecca with a caravan of 72 men and 2 women, which comprised of Muslims and pagans. The Muslims wanted to meet the Prophet ﷺ and to invite him to come to Yathrib. A secret meeting with the Prophet ﷺ was arranged one late night at Aqaba. The Prophet ﷺ met them accompanied by his uncle Abbas, who at that point was not a Muslim. He talked to the group, recited the Quran, prayed to Allah, and encouraged people to embrace Islam. They pledged their allegiance to him, and this became known as the Second Pledge of Aqaba. They asked him to promise that he would not leave them and return to his people. The Prophet ﷺ gave his promise, I am from you and you are from me. I will fight those you fight and will be at peace with those with whom you are at peace. 12 men were then chosen to be responsible for the affairs of the community. These included Sa'd bin Ubaidah, Abdullah bin Rawaha, and Ubaidah bin Samit radiallahu anhu. Shaitan, who was watching and listening from the top of Aqaba, when he could not contain himself no longer, he cried out in the loudest voice possible. The Prophet ﷺ knew who it was and answered him, saying, O enemy of Allah, I will give you no respite. The Masjid was built by Abu Ja'far al-Mansur in 144 AH. It has been renovated several times, with the last one by Sultan Abdul Majid Khan al-Usmani in 1250 AH. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.